election, there is a lot of confusion about the betting tax. I mean, the budget has been read and you know what is in there. But one tax that was cancelled or, let me say removed, but has some sort of controversy around it, has to do with the betting tax. What really is it? The confusion around the betting tax this afternoon on Beyond the Numbers, our job is very simple. To clear every confusion around this tax handle, make you understand it. There's been claims that this tax or this revenue handle was never even collected. What is a true picture? We have details, we have every information also from the Ghana Revenue Authority to back whatever we'll discuss here. And joining me on the smart wall is the Superman, Caleb Zublim, who will be helping us to break this down. I mean, yesterday we had a number of tax cuts and the word abolish was used about 6 times in the 2025 budget. First, we'll come to the betting tax anyway, but I want you to walk us through the main taxes that were scrapped during the 2025 budget reading.
I mean, so, in the run-up to the elections, the campaigns were all on the e-levy and betting tax. So yesterday, when the finance minister read the budget, they are going to scrap when they lay the bills in Parliament, the e-levy, betting tax, emissions tax, the COVID levy. That's going to be a broader reform to the VAT regime. And then some few taxes they did mention in the manifesto in the run-up to elections. That's VAT on motor insurance vehicles, and then VAT on, that's the last one that,
Yeah, I mean,
so there were 6 of them.
Exactly. So 6 taxes. The word abolish, I think, was used about 6. But I want us to go straight to the betting tax aspect. We possibly do not have a lot of time. So we want to talk about the betting tax. Yesterday, I think that right after the budget was read, the former finance minister, Dr. Mohamed Abin Adam, had a press conference with a minority, and he was the one who spoke. And he made a categorical statement that got the whole internet very wild, especially those who belong to the investor community. I mean, the bettors. Yeah, they were very worried when he made that categorical statement that the betting tax was never collected. Let's actually go back and look at that tax handle. You walk us through if this really happened or not. We'll break it down, make you understand what the betting tax actually means. But in terms of the betting industry, this is an industry that has been looked at with different kind of eyes. But in terms of revenue generation, it is an important industry. Why? Because of this figure on the big Caleb.
I mean, so in 2024, data from the Ghana Revenue Authority revealed that the entire betting industry, from all the various taxes, raked in some 495 million Ghana cedis. So for the entire 2024, the betting industry paid government 495 million Ghana.
Oh, that's huge.
Yeah, that's very huge. And it's made up of various taxes, including the betting tax that we call it, tax on, the withholding tax on gaming reserve, game winnings. Yeah. So, and you see that was actually the second highest in all the taxes that is being collected from the gaming industry. So 495 million Ghana cedis was collected in the whole year from the gaming industry.
So, I mean, the breakdown has to do with, let's actually go back to the first graph that you showed us in terms of the stepwise, in terms of the allocation or the revenues that we'll be able to get from the betting tax. You showed one that has revenue from 2023 and 2024. If we have this, what we are saying is that the claim by the former finance minister was that the betting tax was never collected.
Yeah.
There's confusion about what actually is betting tax. In fact, if you look at GRA's document and their various laws, there is actually nothing like betting tax. Let's explain this. There is a big tax component or handle called the gaming and betting tax. It is a joint tax. It's called gaming and betting tax. And that tax was actually revised in the 2023 budget. And this is what we are learning from the GRA, is that the revision was actually supposed to be carried out in 3 phases. So the first phase, which the former administration brought on board, what they call the gaming, the gross gaming revenue, which was supposed to be like a corporate income tax for the betting companies. They were supposed to pay that huge amount of money. We will look at that very soon. But that was the first phase of the gaming and betting tax regime, or the handle. Then that was somewhere May 2023. Then you had in August 2023, the phase 2 of that law was actually implemented, which is the 10% on the withholding tax on the winnings from betting, right? So sports betting, let's be very specific, that if you stake, let's say you are able to do some sort of odds and you get about 100 cedis, the law was that you should be taxed some 10%, 10% is about 10 cedis, right? This is the controversial law that everybody possibly is quoting. Then there was supposed to be a third phase in possibly 2024, which was to rope in more than some 1,200 lotto operators into this big, tax handle that we're speaking about, the gaming and betting tax, right? So if the government was able to bring everybody on board, the over 1,200 lotto operators, then we would have said that that tax handle was complete, right? And the estimation we are getting was that in 2024, the government was hoping to get some over 1 billion Ghana cedis from making that tax handle very complete. But the intelligence we got from the GRA was that the National Lottery Authority actually made some form of a complaint to the government that, look, you want to tax the 10% on the lotto wins. That was a third phase anyway. If you do this, what you are going to do is that you are going to collapse the public lotto sector, which they believe that there are two sectors anyway, the private side and then the public side. The private side, already government is finding it difficult to possibly have an overseeing impact on them.
Because most of them are outside.
Most of them are outside. And the only one you have control over is NLA. So it means that essentially you are only going to tax winners of NLA, which will eventually make them run away possibly to the private side. The government thought about it and decided to delay that side of the law. So in 3 phases, what we realized is that we were able to only do 2. The government, the Akufo-Addo administration, was able to do the 2 phases, left with the last phase. For us, what we got that back are points that the betting tax, or let me say, the withholding on sports winnings or sport betting winnings was actually collected. Is this data that we have from the GRA, Caleb?
Yeah, so the GRA, from their own statements obtained from the GRA, shows that in 2023, when the tax was implemented, somewhere around August 2023, the government collected 51.3 million Ghana cedis. And in 2024, that's for the whole year, the government collected 147.76 million Ghana cedis. So indeed, the betting tax had been collected.
You might want to use the word withholding on betting winnings was actually collected. Because if you say betting tax, sometimes it is a bit vague and you wonder what betting tax actually means. We have explained that there is a broader tax handle called the gaming and betting tax, right?
Yeah.
Which under that you have different components. You have the gross gaming, revenue. You have the withholding that the bettors or the investors pay, withholdings that the companies themselves pay, and then also you have other different tax handles in there. So that makes up the betting industry's total tax that they pay into the revenue kitty, which when we did the math, went to as high as almost 500 million Ghana. Let's continue with that.
Yeah, so this is the breakdown of all the taxes that the gaming industry pays. And you can see in red there, that's the second highest withholding tax on bet winnings. That is 10% withholding tax on bet winnings. And that was some controversy because even before you receive your money, the companies have to take the money away to government.
It's true.
Yeah, so that's the second highest we see. The highest is what you mentioned earlier, the gross gaming revenue. That was around 242 million Ghana cedis in 2024. And then we have the withholding tax on bet winnings. That was 147.76 million Ghana cedis. Again, that's the second highest coming from the betting industry.
So the betting industry isn't just there, it pays taxes, right? So you have this component, the one in red that government wants to get rid of because the investors are not happy with the tax component in red. They say that let us breathe. When we win our odds, let us take our entire, bounty or whatever.
The other side to the argument is that betting is not a good thing, so the government must try to.
Oh, so you're making a moral argument. Some will say that, well, this is actually, synonymous to the let's say, the forex market. So why would you say that betting is a sin, in quote? But this afternoon, I think that the conversation has to do with the fact that what we are learning is that this tax, in terms of the withholding on betting, was actually collected. It started in 2023, August, was actually collected again in 2024.
Oh, yeah.
The total amount of money, in fact, if you add 51 to this 147, possibly you'll be looking at that figure on the word. And I want you to walk us through.
So the total betting tax that has been collected, withholding tax that has been collected since its implementation in August 2023, is almost 200 million Ghana cedis. That's 199 billion Ghana cedis.
So this means that people actually won a lot in 2023 and 2024. If you are watching us and you won anything and you might want to share, we've seen how much you paid in taxes. Your 10% withholding. So if 10% of what you won is
almost 200 million Ghana,
then it means that in 2023 and 2024, people won in excess of 1 billion cedis, right?
Yeah, more than 1 billion.
That is huge.
Yeah.
In fact, people are now saying that the betting industry is serving as a source of income to them. And many have had the argument that if that is your income, then
it should be taxed.
It should be taxed because people are paying income tax.
Exactly.
So if you stake and you get 500 cedis and you get 600 cedis, you should pay income tax.
And because of the large informal sector Ghana has, it's always difficult to tax people's income. So if there's a system like the betting industry where you can easily get people's income, then I think that's why the government...
but unfortunately, this tax, according to the NDC, is draconian and it must go. Yesterday, when the finance minister announced it, I was on Twitter, people were very happy with that. They put videos of the former finance minister saying that, look, we never collected the tax. I don't know what really went on during the press conference anyway.
Well, I think he was making reference to tax on lottery winnings.
But did he actually mention that?
There are so many nuances to this, and I think they were trying to play semantics with it because the finance minister, Arthur Forson, mentioned betting a lot.
He himself also didn't really get the tax handle really well.
Exactly.
He said winnings on lotteries, otherwise known as
the betting tax,
which are not the same anyway. There is a big tax handle anyway, but the two are different.
Yeah.
There is 10% withholding on lottery winnings, 10% withholding on betting or the sport betting, win. So the two are a bit different.
Yeah.
One has been implemented, which is the betting side.
Yeah.
But the lottery side, there were, significant challenges that made it difficult for the finance ministry to go ahead with the implementation. But let's go ahead and see what else we possibly have in this, slides.
Yeah, so because the finance ministry knew that there's going to be some revenue lost from the tax scrapping, the finance minister decided to try and get this revenue back from the tax refund account. So the finance ministry, so for those who don't know, there's an account with GRA, the tax refund account. So this account is where GRA sets aside a portion of the entire revenue collected for the year. That's meant to be paid as tax refunds. So for instance, those who pay VAT sometimes are eligible to some tax refunds. They go back for it. Some individuals...
The big oil companies, in fact, they are the ones, the telcos, the big oil companies are usually the ones who are going for tax refunds. Let's continue.
Yeah, and some people who are eligible for exemptions who find out later can go back to GRA.
Yeah, a lot of Ghanaians don't know,
So the finance ministry found that out of the total amount that GRA has allocated to the tax refund account, only about 43% of that amount was used for its internal purpose. There was a surplus of about 57%. That's somewhere about 16 billion Ghana cedis. So this 16 billion Ghana cedis was the surplus from the account. So according to Arthur Forson, they are trying to reduce the limit, the ceiling on the tax refund account from 6% down to 4%. This means that there's going to be an extra revenue for the government. It was already there.
The 2 percentage points, right?
Yeah, exactly. It was already there, but then the government could not touch it because it was inside the tax refund account and there are limitations. But now that they freed that 2%, the government has this extra revenue, and the finance ministry projected that it's going to be 3.8 billion Ghana cedis.
For 2025?
Yeah, for 2025.
Yeah, so this is what government is banging its hopes on.
Yeah.
The argument is that this is a tax refund account. What if in a year where you have big telcos and giant oil companies, you know.
Judgment debt.
Exactly, judgment debt and all of that coming in. We know that Talos case, for instance, I think somewhere around $350 million. When some of these things happen, what is going to be the fate of the kind of inflows that the government want to get from the tax refund? Possibly, I mean, we need to find more answers to this tax. It's a very clever way of closing the revenue. Kitty, and many have said that this is called the autonomics. Yesterday, Evans was using that word, and people were asking, wow, so we didn't know that this huge amount of money was sitting somewhere and government could just tap in as a means to possibly eliminate some tax handles. But if you're watching us, the conversation has been around the betting tax. I don't want to use the word the betting tax again. Know that there is no tax called betting tax. There's a tax called gaming and betting tax, right? And under that, there are different components. Under that, you have the gross gaming revenue, which the betting industry or the betting companies are supposed to pay to the Ghana Revenue Authority. There's also the withholding tax that the companies are also, expected to pay, VATs, and even payee and all of that. All of those things are included. Then there's also the what possibly you call the betting tax, which is the one that you possibly pay on the wins, on your betting wins. That is where the bone of contention is. But the finance minister said that this tax is nuisance and must go. This has been Beyond the Numbers with me, Isaac Kofi, and I always do this with...
I'm Caleb Ziblin.
Caleb Ziblin joined us today. Winston Taki will possibly join us on Friday. Today, he's doing some chilling somewhere, so we'll bring him on Friday. So there you know it's the withholding tax on betting was actually implemented. Possibly the only thing that was not implemented was the lottery side of the tax handle. On Friday, we'll be bringing you more on Beyond the Numbers. We'll be talking about the Bank of Ghana's quest for a 53 billion Ghana cedis, recapitalization. In fact, this is the bank of all banks. But in fact, it's in trouble. How will it save commercial banks? That will be an interesting conversation on Friday. Do join us.